everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey everybody, Cantonese Cat here, Palantir. Today seemed pretty bullish for Palantir. It went up about 4%. Why didn't we just launch off to space? Well, if you look at the daily chart, and I usually don't look at the lower time frame, but I would like to show you what I'm seeing here on the daily is because you have the top of the cloud over here, which is around 23.92. That's going to serve as short-term resistance over here, and it looks like we probably got rejected. I'm really trying to push above it, but just having a lot of hard time really trying to push above that level, which is no big deal. Now, above that Ichimoku level, if you also look at the daily chart, you can see that there's a little bit of a trend line over here that also needs to be broken, and that trend line is probably going to be around 24.3 something or 24.5, somewhere around there. I'm going to show you a little bit of video later to tell you why I think 24.3, 24.5 is a very important level. Now, I am being a little bit cautious here. A couple things is I think this move up has been maybe partially due to rumors of Palantir potentially getting accepted into S&P 500 later this week. And there's no guarantee, what they say when people buy the rumor, they might end up buying the news or selling the news. I really don't know what is going to happen, but I do see some resistance going up here that is getting me a little bit more cautious. So I won't chase this move. Good thing is that I've been very, very bullish on Palantir for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And I've been buying all the way along. And I've been buying this range around here around 20 to 22 underneath the daily Ichimoku cloud, even though a lot of people are saying that, hey, it's probably going to come down and fill this gap down here at around 18. Can I still do that? Probably not, but it could, right? You know how I feel about these gap fills. There's been plenty of gaps down here that didn't fill, plenty of gaps down here that didn't fill, so I don't really see any particular reason as to why this gap down here around 18 would have to fill. But I'm still a little bit more cautious when it comes to having to have price go up on rumors like that. Now, if it turns out to be a reality, if it turns out that we actually end up having the S&P 500 inclusion, short term there might be a little bit of rejection, a little bit of sell-off, but long term, we're talking about like weekly, monthly charts, actually going to be a very favorable thing, fundamentally speaking. Now, in terms of what I'm seeing here on anything that's making me bullish on the daily chart, well, there are a few things that are favorable, and I could be very well wrong. Like next thing you know, you can have slicing these resistance up here at like it's nothing, fruit like a hot knife through butter, like it's nothing, right? It's possible. Right? If we end up really getting some very, very truly bullish news, if we truly have S&P 500 inclusion, and if you're gonna have having a ton of buying pressure coming in and push price above these resistance levels. There are some signs here. For example, really for today, you have a lot of increased whales. You really have a lot of increase in traders. That's always a little bit of a warning sign here for you, right? Maybe they're just kind of buying rumor, selling the news potentially later. But you do have decreasing in retail presence per MCTX plus, and you do have a little bit of a candle over here signifying maybe a little bit more increased whale coming in today. For the RSI, you also have a broken of this trend line over here. You have a very nice trend line that's been going on for a few months, and it looks like it wants to potentially close the day with this RSI trend line being broken. Yesterday it wasn't, today it looks like it could be. Right. So you do have a little bit of a bullishness over here. If you look at the, actually let me go back to the daily chart. I'm going to turn off the Ichimoku cloud and turn the Bollinger Band on. You can see the Bollinger Band looks like we're starting to get a little bit of nice expansion over here, and the 20-day moving average is nicely pointing up. So this might end up hitting the trend line over here. We'll see how it reacts when we get there. But you have a very significant squeeze over here, which results in this big giant move here with expansion, right? So we'll see what happens when it gets up to the line. I do suspect that it's probably going to get up to the line up here around 24.3 or something like that by tomorrow, and we'll see how it reacts. Okay. Now, when it gets to the 2-day chart, I think it tells you a little bit of a different story. It looks like whales have actually been kind of slowly coming back in here on a slightly higher time frame. And if you also just kind of look at this RSI trend line over here, it looks like it's been broken long ago, right? Looks like we might be trying to really break, not able to, but finally broke above of it. And even though it's still not kind of broken above the trend line over here by price, there's a lot of increase in whale, and the R side trend line has been broken, so it might actually end up gravitating up higher on a slightly higher time frame. It's a little bit of a better picture if you look over here at the Ichimoku cloud too, as it actually got above the 2-day Ichimoku cloud. It really looks like it wants to gravitate towards the trend line over here. We'll see how it reacts once it gets there. The Bollinger Band also shows expansion, just like it did on the daily. It also is looking pretty decent over here so far in terms of expansion, in terms of a 20-week moving, sorry, 20, I guess it's going to be 40-day moving average, kind of pointing up, right? So all of this actually looks a little bit better on a higher time frame. And let's look at the weekly here. If you look at the weekly, you are starting to see on a higher time frame some very nice things, right? Now, you're still going to run into potentially resistance over here again. I think it's going to end up hitting around 24.3, somewhere around there. That's going to be, resistance to be concerned about, right? But you also have this RSI breakout over here. And on the weekly, on a higher time frame, you actually see that retails have left, and you have increase in whale this week. So all these are very, kind of positive signs that you're seeing here. And if you look at the Ichimoku cloud, you're going to see that it reclaimed the Tenkin and Kijun, the conversion and baseline over here. The conversion is still about the baseline, so this is still a very nice bull trend, even though the price has kind of gone sideways for several months. And right now, price got back above both the baseline and the conversion line, or the Kijun and the Tenkin line. Looks like it might be ready to go up higher based on the weekly, although on the lower time frame on the daily, you might still be running into some resistance. Right now, look at the Bollinger Band, and I'm also going to superimpose the bull market support band along with it. It reclaimed the bull market support band this week. It tends to like to gravitate to the band, even got below the band for like a couple weeks is possible, kind of like how it did over here, but looks like it wants to kind of push the band up higher now. You're getting a little bit squeezy over here on the weekly. May anticipate potentially a stronger move to kind of go up or go down. Band is up, price is higher than the band, so if I have to pick a direction, it's probably going to be a big move up. All right. Again, this is just a weekly chart. We'll see how it plays out. But there are a few things that are important. Again, reclaiming the Tenkin and Kijun, reclaiming the bull market support band pointing up, whale coming in, RSI breakout. Like, this is a very nice look on the weekly chart. On the monthly chart, I like the monthly chart even more, actually. On the monthly chart, I actually like seeing quite a few things here. The Bollinger Band is contracting a little bit, but price is still really, on the upper part of the Bollinger Band here for quite some time, for a whole year now. So most likely it's just a sideways correction. It's not being overextended by any means. If you look at the RSI, it's not being overextended by any means. RSI is like in the low 60s. This is nothing. Like, this really hasn't even been overbought. If you think the pound here has been overbought on the monthly, you haven't seen anything yet. Wait till RSI gets up to like 70 and 80. Whales have been coming in, right, for the month of May. Like, whales never really left, even during this downtrend over here. This is a super tiny downtrend, basically just a back test of a breakout of this horizontal zone over here. Super tiny downtrend on low volume. Whales never left, and whales are increasing again. Retail's decreasing again, right? Again, like, everything on the monthly just looks super nice. You have a little bit of what we call a rising three methods, where you have big giant green candle, and bulls needed to take a break after this big giant green candle and huge volume, and they're going to basically step on the sidelines and see what the bears are doing. Some of them already have taken a lot of profits out here, right? And they just step away and see what bears are doing. Usually it takes about anywhere from 2 to 5 months for the bulls to kind of step away and see what bears do. And if the bears are not able to reverse this candle over here, given a couple of months, 2 to 5 months, if they're not able to reverse this big giant green candle over here, bulls going to sniff it out, and bulls going to start to take over. Looks like bulls may be starting to take over over here for the month of May. Sorry, for the month of June. So far, there's only been, how many trading days has there been so far? Not many, really, right? Just a few trading days. So we'll see. Like, higher time frame is really looking very, very nice, based on a lot of the indicators I'm seeing here. Even the Ichimoku cloud you can see that you have a bullish Tenkan Kitchen cross over here back in January 2024. And since then, for bull market, usually price just ends up testing the Tenkan, the blue line over here, as support to push price higher, right? Tenkan got dragged up over here. Price got way too far away from the Tenkan. Needed price to kind of go sideways to gravitate towards Tenkan to use as support to push price a lot higher. This is still very much of a bull trend, and all of this is very healthy price action. If you not look at the Super Ichi cloud, which is Ichimoku cloud, taking into consideration of super trend here as well, basically what you're seeing is this very similar picture. It's just been riding the Tenkan up along with it, and it's been back testing the Tenkan and it's finding very decent support on low volume. Looks like it wants to go up and roar a lot higher. There's nothing really bearish about this chart that I can see on the monthly. Now, I did mention about the level of about 24.3, somewhere around there, right, earlier. I do want to show you the video that I did with the Great Masby back a few weeks ago when price was still less than 22 and price around like 21.76, and this just happened about a few weeks ago. I do want to play this video for you and tell you what I think, potentially the headwinds, and also what could happen next based on the analysis by the Great Masby, available on X. You can find him if you follow me on X.
You can see this green angle is the 45-degree angle here, and basically since the bottom it did successfully gravitate towards it, and then it just launched off it to outer space.
This is a weekly chart. The Great Masby likes to operate on weekly charts, and the 45-degree angle generally means something. Usually something that you might gravitate to is generally either a very strong support or very strong resistance level on the 45-degree angle. This whole thing is basically called like Gann theory, Gann analysis. You have angles and you have squares and you have arcs. All of these can potentially serve as resistance and support, and there's a very mathematical way to do this. And what he's basically saying is, now that you bounce from a 45-degree angle, which is generally a very good support zone if you're testing from above of it, and when it bounced, it just went parabolic and it went all the way up to where we are. And I'm just going to let him keep talking.
And basically now we're just seeing it stuck in a range, right? And I was waiting for it to maybe come back down to touch this angle again, because you can see how important that angle has been in the past right there. So possibly a few more weeks or months, it might just gravitate towards it and then finally go make new highs.
It's been a few weeks since this video has been made, so I think his prediction actually has worked out, pretty decent. I don't have his actual Gann to show you how the progression has been made, but the idea is there. It tries to gravitate towards the angle over here, and it wants to gravitate upwards if we're not able to go down here at this level, but currently we're still kind of stuck in the range. Maybe potentially ready to break out. I'm going to keep playing this and let you listen.
After that, right? But it's not really going to do much until it breaks these orange arcs and possibly could even retest this orange angle down below, right? But basically, I'm just waiting for it to consolidate a little bit more. Even though it's like been pretty volatile, it's been following a pattern very nicely, right? Yeah. And if we go into log scale here, you can kind of see it too.
Yeah.
Right. So the log scale version is,
you can use the linear scale, which is going to give you maybe a little bit more of the price targets that may be shorter term. The log scale is going to give you maybe a more like a longer term view in terms of what the stock is going to do. Both of those are going to be providing you different kind of resistance and support levels, and you can use them in conjunction together.
Pretty accurate as well. It never really even touched the 45 here on log scale, but it did just go up to the orange line, and that was a big resistance level for a long time, like many months, right? And it's been constantly back testing this arc, which also shows it's in a range, right? And it's not going to do much until it breaks above, let's say, 24.50 or higher, right?
So remember I was showing you the levels around 24.3, somewhere around there. It's been very strong resistance level here. If you look at it weekly, if you look at his Gann square chart, you see that price had gotten rejected around 24.5 for a very long time.
or even maybe back above this angle as well, right?
Yeah. So on the long, actually looks like it might be relatively ready because it's been touching the arc quite a few times. Like it could go back up to like
Yeah.
24, 25 range, but on the linear, it's still got a little bit of room. Like what? How do you kind of reconcile the discrepancy between the two?
You just look at both, but honestly, both are kind of showing the same thing. Like
Yeah.
here, the resistance maybe is like 2450 on log scale, and if you go on linear scale here, it looks like the resistance could be around 25, right? So it's almost the same, right? So it
Yeah.
doesn't really make too big of a difference, but the bottom line is it's got to get above basically $25
Yeah.
before we're going to see any really exciting price movement.
Right now, if I have to extrapolate, I think currently it's the month of June. I think the price is around 24. I think we've broken into this little arc right around here. And we're going to see whether or not we can gravitate up towards the higher arc over here, which is going to be around 25. And we'll see what happens. Yeah. I guess the moral of the story here on the linear, you have the arc here as resistance, and on the log, you have the you're
Yeah.
basically trying to bounce off the arc, but once you pass 25, like there's really a lot of room for it to go up.
Yeah, when you see on log scale, the next resistance, if you just disregard this angle here, would be the arcs above, like in 36 or maybe 41 or so, or around that area, right?
Yeah.
Depending on how quick it gets there. Nobody knows really how fast things will go, but I mean, Gann tries to match price with time sometimes, but you still just never know. You never know.
If it gets up to the low 40s, you're really talking about the potential hitting the potential previous all-time high, which is going to be around 45. Yeah, or even it could potentially ride the angle up and trying to push it as resistance on the way up to the arc. I guess
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
also a
So
possibility.
if it
Yeah.
did ride, yeah, if it did ride it as resistance all the way up, that would be maybe September of 2024 right there. You can see at the bottom, and that would be like $36, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of show you that why are we stuck in a range? There's also another way to kind of look at it, and this way is actually very simple too. You don't really need again to tell you that we're at very strong resistance. You just pull up the volume shelf, which you can basically do this. It's called anchored volume profile. You can see there's a big giant shelf over here. It's going to serve as pretty strong resistance and support level is going to probably going to have gravity in within this range over here, and that's exactly what it's doing so far. Why is that? Because there's a lot of trading volume at this particular price between, like, let's say, like 25 to around 20 or so, because price had been ranging around here for close to about a whole year, around 2020 2021. So we're still stuck in the range, but if we're able to break above the range from 25, if we're going to break above that, and we're going to go a lot higher from there, because there's a lot of bullish momentum energy that's building up, because there's a lot of push against this resistance that has already happened, and because the bears really aren't able to do a whole lot of things over here for the last few months or so. I do think that we're getting close, and I do think that once we break above resistance, things are going to get pretty crazy. The problem is we're still under resistance, especially even at this volume shelf over here, we're still under resistance, and I don't want to just be too bullish at resistance, right? Like right now is intraday, and I already show you the resistance level earlier in the video, in terms of the top of the Ichimoku cloud, which is going to be around 23.93, and price got really close to it, and it looks like things are just getting really rejected. You have a lot of traders that are looking at these kinds of levels. They're just doing these short-term trades. They don't really have a view of the long term. They just do what they need to do to make some short-term money. But the reality is, if you look at the monthly, like, something big might be brewing, both in terms of the Ichimoku cloud analysis, in terms of whales, and also in terms of the fact that the RSI just really hasn't really been overbought. And I don't think people remember how crazy when things get, how crazy it can get. Not to make parallels of not necessarily is going to happen what over the last cycle, but look at this November 2020 candle. Price went from $10 to $33, all within just 1 month. That's something to consider. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, because I can't really be that bullish. right at resistance. But there are a lot of things that tells me like short term, be a little bit cautious. Medium term, looking pretty decent, and long term looks excellent. And that's Palantir for you. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.